All right, everybody. Hey, welcome. What we've got here is a game between Jono and Melfice. And this is actually a live commentary here. I have actually not watched this game. I don't know how it ends. I don't know how it goes. I can say, just from a courtesy standpoint, you see how Melfice here sets the game speed to 10 at the beginning. Please make sure you agree with your opponent beforehand before you do that. That can sometimes throw people off. I always got really annoyed. Melfice was kind of I remember playing against him, and every now and then he was just the kind of guy who would do that without asking. I'd be like, dude, and I insisted on playing at standard speed the entire time because while I was pretty good, I could click pretty quickly. Um, Most people click faster than me. I needed the little extra time at the beginning, and I also like to think about what I was really planning on doing and seeing how things worked out. Also, correcting my commander if he takes a long way to walk. Every second loss is not exactly a good thing here. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So we have Melfice, who's in the top left, and we have Jono, who's down in the bottom right. Jono was a really good player. I believe he's English. I'm not sure. And Melfice, I don't exactly know where he was from. Wind is very good on Gasplant Plain. So you see here, Melfice and Jono both decided to go wind first. Jono activating his shoot all. And then I'll crank it myself, actually, because you guys probably know how this goes. Jono dropping a radar early. The reason why he's doing that is because of the Jeffy Rush, which is actually relatively common on Gasplant Plain, where you build a pair of winds, a vehicle plant, and some Jeffies. Turning it up here so we can go a little faster. Melfice is going vehicle. Now Melfice, you notice he walked 2 of his metal extractors. Jono walked all 3, so he's got more metal. And oh, he is going air first. This is a little bit bold, especially since it's possible there's a Jeffy rush that's on its way. Jono lowers the speed. The downside of that is sometimes when you lower the speed, that indicates to your enemy that your raid is approaching. It's one of the reasons why I don't like to have the speed set high. So Melfice quickly gets out of con, puts up some missile towers to protect probably against a Jeffy rush, and he goes and walks his commander to the remaining metal extractor. Jono's first bomber is out, though, and this is going to be an interesting way to start the game, especially on Gasplant Plain. So it's a nice run. He nailed 2 metal extractors, and he gets off screen. And Melfice is likely going to stall. He has to bail his commander off his vehicle facility. Jono goes and he switches to, he hasn't switched to vehicle, actually. He is dropping out some quick missile towers because he knows the flashes are on their way. His bomber's coming back to get repaired and prepared to go on another run. Melfice is building some missile towers out here early. I don't know if I would have done that if I were him. Maybe 1 or 2 just to kind of scare the bombers off, but I would have probably dropped some winds up, kept the cons moving, knowing that you've got the build advantage here, especially considering the fact that Jono's gone air. It's going to be tough for him to keep up in building. So Melfice's flash rush is going to come in here. Bomber goes out, and he's got a second one on the way. And Jono's committed to air. I like that. That's pretty bold there. Quick run. The bomber gets away. Comes in for another run. And bomber gets away again. That is a 2 really good good runs by Jono. Tags all 3 mexes. You know what? I spoke. I guess I spoke too soon. You can see how Melfice has got his missile towers locked onto that bomber. He doesn't want it to get away with that again. Both bombers have survived. Melfice has 0 metal extractors. Ouch, ouch, ouch. That's a nice run. You can see how he's got the missile towers marked. He goes to take out some missile towers, but he loses the bomber. I don't know if that was worth it at that point. But he really does need to focus on getting his feet on the ground. leaving and investing that much time into bombers may not be a very good idea for Jono at this point. But as long as he keeps those bombers in the sky, Melfice is going to feel threatened by them. So you can see how he's shut off his vehicle plant because he's out of metal. Clever move by Melfice here to try and just sneak away, but that's gonna cost him the con likely. Jono let that bomber get away from him. That is an excellent run. And one bomber survives. Melfice continues to build cons. I like that. But I'm a builder, so maybe that's not exactly the best thing to do. But to me, it looks like Melfice has got that build power, but I don't think he's going to be able to protect it. Here come the flashes from Jono. He's got one construction vehicle out. Jono's really investing in this this attack. Very aggressive strategy. I like it. So Melfice is hitting shoot all. To me, when I was playing, that was like an indication that a raid is coming when somebody does that. Flashes see each other, but Jono wants to be on the offensive. Now, you notice how Melfice, in that spot right there, he let his flash die on the metal extractor, which means it wasn't going to leave a wreck. That was good play by Melfice there. Now, Melfice wants this con. We'll see if he gets away with it. He doesn't get away with the con, but you can see how Jono's raid is breaking in at this point. So now Jono is really doing some damage, but he didn't get a construction vehicle. He's leaving a lot of wrecks in there. I don't really like that raid from Jono right there. I don't think that was a particularly good attack for him. Oops, that's me looking away from the fight there. That's a nice run. He tagged those metal extractors. Now Melfice is wanting to control the top half of the map. Now you can see here, this is where Melfice's additional building power from his construction vehicles is really helping him out. He's kind of really keeping his mexes capped. He's getting these missile turrets up, which help protect him, and he's got a second vehicle lab up. So if it were me, I'd rather be in Melfice's position at this point. You can see here, Melfice has outproduced Jono by 2,000. And that metal difference is really going to come into play. More bombing runs here by Jono, and he's got to keep that up. The problem is that's taking time away from building. This is a nice little Control-Z skirmish down here. And it looks like Jono's actually going to come out ahead on this one. He's going to build up a larger group of flashes. Melfice is continuing on the building strategies, putting out more cons. He wants to degun these guys. That is unlucky. Melfice loses the con. Doesn't even degun any flashes. That is not good. So for those of you who never played this map, when the gas bags explode, they do cause damage to the things around them. Nice run here by Jono. Sends in the flashes, bombs with the bomber. Decent raid overall. But unfortunately, he drops the remainder of the flashes. That leaves a lot of wrecks in there, but he did get a con out of that. It's going to be a bit before Melfice can clean up that mess. So Melfice is looking pretty good to me. He's got half the map taken care of, whereas the expansion from Jono is a little bit weak. Jono tags that mechs. He's finally got his second plant up at this point. That's not an air facility. And he has very little defense. But again, this is what's interesting about TA, is that even though he has no defense, the reason why Melfice feels like he's behind because of how aggressive Jono is being. And I like it. I think that's an interesting way to play the game. More really good runs. That's a good run. So you see, even though Melfice has his territory, he's not getting the resources that he so richly deserves from it, having a lot of trouble keeping his metal extractors capped. So you can see how losing that construction vehicle was a pretty bad blow for Melfice here. Nice run. No, this would be really bad for Jono if he sends those flashes in here, even though it looks like he's got him outnumbered, and he's got the radar up too, so he sees the force amassing there. But his commander's right there. That'd just be a death trap for the flashes. You see a lot of really good TA players. They will control Z their forces a bunch to group them. Units that aren't really together when you're not doing raiding missions, when you're trying to do a main attack, you gotta have everything you have in it. Otherwise, it's wasted. You need to have, and that's my philosophy. A lot of people think, well, spreading out is a little bit better. It all just depends if you can overwhelm them at the point of your attack. And right now they're just kind of testing each other. They all know, they can kind of see the big blob moving, so they know where the main forces are. This is a good find by Jono right here to send those two flashes up there. If he bags this con, that's really good news. It looks like he might get away with it. And Melfice is being really cheeky, sending the con down, which causes Jono to eat up time. But eventually he finds it. It'll be locked on. Gets taken out. That's another loss for him. So you can see that Jono hasn't lost any of his cons yet. And it might be Jono. I might be saying this wrong. I've always pronounced it Jono. Jono, if you or Jono, if you watch this and you want to leave in the comments, I apologize for getting it wrong. Melfice is ahead by 5,000 metal at this point. That's a really, really big lead. And he's also starting to get his geothermals up. Whereas Jono doesn't have that at all. So you can see how the production is starting to really come out. Melfice has got all these defenses. Maybe a little bit gratuitous. He's got his line fully set up, though. This air by Melfice, I like that. I think that's a pretty good idea at this point. Jono hasn't been putting out a ton of missile defenses. He might be able to snap off a nice run or two. You can see he's going up, sending his bomber off screen. Keeps those mexes clean. Puts on a little smiley face. He's just turnabout's fair play here. That bomber's gonna have free run on the back line. Nice run. That's a great run. Jono decides to try and press his advantage. You can see how half of Melfice's forces are down here. So it's going to take a while for him to get there, and Jono's actually able to press in. This is bad for Melfice, because these guys are going to come in, and they're going to do some serious damage. He's going to stop him from building that. And nice job by Melfice here using his flashes to guard. He defends his geothermal. That's a good resource to protect. Melfice figures he's got the advantage at this point. He takes over the wreck field. I really like Melfice's position in this. He doesn't decide to press it. That's probably smart. He would have run into the commander, although here comes Jono being cheeky. Sees the flashes advancing. Wipes out his flashes. That was really... That gives him half that wreck field right there. That was bad luck for Melfice, although a smart play by Jono. Melfice acknowledges it, says nice. This is actually shaping up to be quite the game here. So Melfice is nearly 10,000 metal ahead. However, Jono is outplaying him in the unit control and kind of general attacking strategy at this point. You can see even though he barely has anything, Jono is just kind of making him feel like he's really far behind. So Jono's just making better use of his units at this point. It's a little dangerous by Jono right here, bringing his commander up front. This, if he sends us over here, this is not a good attack by Jono. Missile towers are going to chew him up. Melfice retreats his commander, worried about the sheer numbers of flashes, but he's really good. He's got that T-gunning down, wipes him out. Problem with T-gunning there is, of course, he doesn't get the wrecks, but he's got plenty of construction vehicles. He's got the missile towers. Those wrecks are his. But Jono doesn't really have the option of not attacking. Melfice is going to test the defenses here. Sends those flashes up there. Melfice really needs to recap these mexes. There you go. He's got one on it. And then he's got one cleaning up the mess, too. There's some bombers going off screen. He's probably aiming for those geothermals. Takes 3 bombers to take out a geothermal. That was a nice run by Jono right there. By Jono. He says that's okay. He's got one up here. He can just... loses the other. That was a really good run by Jono. But you can see how Melfice has got all these winds going as well. And that's really boosting energy production, so I guarantee he's pretty far ahead. Yep, 47,000 to 31,000 metal. He is 16,000 ahead. He is way ahead of Jono at this point. Jono's just starting to cap his geothermals over here. But Melfice has got the bombing power to take him down as soon as they get up. Another quick raiding run. Nice. Melfice here is building his advanced vehicle. I don't know if I necessarily like that choice. In a 1v1, it's got to really lock up before I do that, and I don't feel like Melfice has tested these defenses particularly well. Finally, Melfice scouts. So a ton of Melfice's excess metal is tied up in all of his missile towers and winds that he's got. But you can see he's got double of Jono's flashes, but he's sending half of them here and half of them up here. The end result is I don't expect this attack to get very far. More scouting, smart move. Again, I don't think Melfice is really paying that much attention to that, and that's fine. He's taking the building approach. He's way outproducing him. He's actually building a fusion while leaving his geothermals uncapped. That's really funny. So now fusion is going to be able to give him a ton of resources, because he'll be able to just put on a Moho Metal Maker and have that fusion going at the same time. I think that's really kind of funny. It shows how far ahead in the resource game that Melfice is. And I think this is a smart move by Melfice to switch to Samson's at this point as well. But he does need to burn down these gas bags. Otherwise, if he sends those Samsons in on attack, they're going to lose them. And all those missiles right there, Jono's scouting fails to find what he's actually up to, which is that fusion. Again, it's just more resources. I don't know. I feel like I would have switched to Rocco's and Samsons a while ago if I were Melfice, but this seems to be this is Melfice's game if I had to call it at this point, just by sheer production. I don't know what Jono's going to be able to do. And this is just death, I think, for these flashes. Jono's testing the defenses here. Just a quick flash run in. You can see how they're getting cut down by the missile units pretty quickly. Very cheeky by Melfice, bombing the flashes. And some of them break through. His intent is to take out the geothermals. And he gets one, looks like. And he stops. That's bad by Melfice to set the game speed to 3 at this point. Jono needs to be able to sustain this attack. He didn't get the fusion. Keeps pressing in. He's building another fusion. Oh no, sorry, he's building a nuke. Hey, maybe I was wrong. Looks like Jono's actually taking it over here. Jono now realizes how far ahead Melfice is at this point, as far as resources going. Melfice is using his time to bomb. If I were him, I'd probably be building. Need to hook some more missile towers. Jono keeps sending the flashes. You notice how he hasn't gone advanced. He's all vehicles at this point, and he keeps pressing. But he's going to send in those air cons because he wants to take those out. But Melfice is smart. He goes in. He wants to control that wreck field. And his nuke is still being produced. Melfice does not have enough level 1 facilities. He's not guarding. That EMG sound's never going to stop for the rest of the game. His only defense against flashes is bombers, and that's not good. But he's got the heavy laser towers up. Again, these aren't things I would normally do, but the only reason why he can get away with it is because he's so far ahead in metal. There you go. He's got the fusion. That's really gonna bone him. D-guns. Jono's gonna come in for bomb. Color me surprised, man. Melfice wasn't able to make the metal advantage stick. He's going to let that nuke drop. He's repairing his commander. I'm going to slow it down here to kind of see what's going on. Melfice just keeps up the bombing. I mean, keeps up the... And now he's building a light laser tower. And this whole time, he's got reclaiming this metal. So that was a good win for Jono. Melfice just got too cocky with his metal advantage. He's got his geos recapped, but he just hasn't built enough level 1 facilities. There's so much wreckage that Melfice is... Why is he building stumpies? Melfice, man. This is good by Melfice. Push those guys out. Try and reclaim some of this territory. And now Jono's actually gone advanced. So it looks like the game is actually flipped here because of that attack. Melfice wasn't able to capitalize on his advance. You can see how the lead here went. Remember, Melfice was ahead at 17,000 at some point, but it's flipped. And it looks like this is going to be game over for Melfice. Jono's just ripping through the defense here. You can see how he's got some guys going over here too, trying to reclaim. But he breaks through. Melfice is again using his bombers. Bombers are much better attackers than they are defenders. You can see how he's taken some out, but to me that's just not worth it. It's not a good use of your time. He needed to Dragon's Teeth his heavy laser towers as well. This is a good find for Jono right here, finding those factories. You can see how he's got this constant stream of flashes coming in. Melfice, instead of building, is focusing on bombing these flashes. That's not a good use of his time. Going back over here to see what's going on. See, he's got all his geothermals capped. He's got very little metal sunk into static defense. He's very, very aggressive, and that's kind of what the aggressive strategy looks like. Melfice went for the build, but he didn't really take advantage of the fact that he was that far ahead. And that's going to cost him. He just wasn't aggressive enough. Those bombers would be much better served bombing these geothermals over here. Instead, he's using them to bomb flashes. He sends his commander out front. This is the last-ditch effort by Melfice. And Jono just ignores it. He says, I'll take out your base, thank you. Takes out the nuke. Melfice says, impossible. A Big Berth is up. Melfice knows that sound. He knows he's toast. And the last gasp of many a commander, surrounded by flashes, degunning desperately. And the game is over. Yeah, I mean, in general, Jono is always a better player than Melfice. But man, that was hard to watch. Kind of Melfice just not really capitalize on the fact that he was far ahead. He scouted, he saw kind of how weak the defenses were, and he just needed to have a little bit more controlled approach to his attack. Switch over to Samson's a little bit early if I were in his shoes, but that was a good game, guys. Well played by Jono, well played by Melfice. It was very fun, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.